Welcome to my list fairy. Today I wanted to do a video sharing some thoughts on things I'm hoping we'll be getting in Tears of the Kingdom. Basically my wish list. I'd love to hear if you agree with my list or not, so let me know in the comments. My first hope that I want to talk about is about having access to the full Breath of the Wild map. I know that in Tears of the Kingdom there will be a sky world, so to speak, and we'll have new areas to explore, as we should since it's a new game. But I want the whole Breath of the Wild map to be available as well. Not because of familiarity or comfort, but because if there is a significant time jump between games, then I want to see Hyrule rebuilt and how things have evolved, especially spots like Tarrytown, which was just beginning in Breath of the Wild, or the Forgotten Temple, which maybe Zelda will want to give a makeover to. I just think it would be super satisfying to see the world we know so well post defeating Ganon, almost as a reward. My second hope is the character of Zelda being a presence for the whole game. I know it's a known pattern in Zelda games for Link to have to rescue her, but I think it would make the story so much better if Link and Zelda went through some of the game together and defeated the final boss together, as opposed to her disappearing early on in the game. There's a piece of the trailer that shows her falling down a cave, so I hope that doesn't happen right at the start and we only see her again in the end. We need more Zelda, we want more Zelda, we demand more Zelda. I think hoping for her to be a playable character is not very realistic, and I'm not sure I would want it, but I definitely want her as a companion to our character whenever possible. My third hope is new monsters and new bosses. If anyone asks me to fault Breath of the Wild, I will refuse to and say it's flawless. However, I do think there was room for improvement in the variety of monsters. Having just bokoblins, moblins, lizalfos, Lionos, and the mini-bosses in such a vast, big map did make it feel a bit repetitive, even though they had elemental and scaling variations. The same thing applies to the Blights. They each had their own spin on their power, but at the end of the day they were pretty similar. So I do hope we get some new monsters and completely new bosses that are all different from each other. My fourth hope is that the weapon durability system remains the same. I know that's a hot take, and I've changed my mind about this a few times, but I currently feel like the way that the weapons break in Breath of the Wild really encourages exploration. Not to mention that with the amount of weapon slots that you can get, I rarely just ran out of weapons while playing Breath of the Wild. It's easy to farm weapons, and more than anything it's fun to do so I hope nothing changes on that front. My fifth hope is that Link can register different mounts at the horse stables. Or maybe that there is a different type of stable altogether that lets you register mounts like bears, stall horses, deers, and even the Lord of the Mountain if he's still in the game. Or even better, can you imagine taming a Lino and registering it? I don't think they would ever do that, but it would be the ultimate show of dominance to have Link riding a gold Lino around Hyrule. My sixth hope is that the underground of Hyrule plays just as big of a part in Tears of the Kingdom as the skies. We know Link and Zelda explored the underground at some point because of the amazing footage in the trailer, so I hope that that's an actual playable area. Maybe the trailers have been focusing on the skies and are keeping the underground a bit of a secret. It would be super cool to have access to all 3 levels of Hyrule in this game. My seventh hope is different types of dungeons. This is something Zelda fans have said about Breath of the Wild for years, that they wish it had the classic dungeons of other Zelda games. I don't particularly agree, because I like the dynamic of the divine beasts and of having mini dungeons as the shrines, but I do think for Tears of the Kingdom we need some old school dungeons, especially if we're exploring the skies. It would combine something everyone loves about Zelda into a new era of Zelda games, and it would be a win-win situation in my opinion. My eighth hope is a very simple one, but I do really want it. Link needs to be able to dive. That was one of my frustrations with Breath of the Wild, because you have such a vast ocean that you can only explore so much of. I mean, we've all been there, right? We kill the lizalfos in the ocean, it drops gemstones, and the stones sink down to the bottom, and we can never get to them. Just give Link some armor that lets him dive or sink or something. Please. My ninth hope is that the champions are back somehow. I know they're not alive, I know, but they weren't alive in Breath of the Wild either. Link can talk to spirits, and I think it would be amazing if he could have a line of contact with the champions at some point in the game, even if it's just for a few cutscenes. I've grown too attached to Urbosa, Mipha, Daruk, and Revali to just never see them again. Maybe this could be incorporated somehow if Link had different versions of the champions' abilities? I feel like if those could evolve a bit, it would justify him talking to the champions again. Plus, it would be amazing to see those abilities come back even more powerful. And my 10th and final hope is to have Ganondorf back as the final boss. I enjoyed Calamity Ganon to an extent, but both him and Dark Beast Ganon were incredibly easy, especially if you went in with half-decent gear and some buffs. I feel like Ganondorf in his Gerudo form needs to make a comeback. This does seem to be hinted at the trailer based on the skeleton that Link and Zelda find, so I am hopeful about it. Imagine having a Twilight Princess style Ganondorf back, the big, muscly, imposing Ganondorf, agile with weapons, a presence that felt like it would put up a good fight that would require strategy and skill. After the success of Breath of the Wild and the high expectations people have for Tears of the Kingdom, an epic final boss is the least we deserve. So what did you guys think of my list? Do you agree? What are your wishes for Tears of the Kingdom? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.